3 News Now Web Extra.
So we have this news story where both the governors of Iowa and Nebraska are declining to house immigrant or migrant children that are arriving at the border. And I know they're all unaccompanied minors in this case. Is that a population that you would normally work with? Have you worked with that population?
Absolutely. It's a population that we work with. Big part of our work is the delivery of immigration legal services. Unaccompanied minors at the border, when they get relocated to Nebraska, we will work their asylum cases for them, represent them in court proceedings, and take care of them in a variety of different ways, connect them with different agencies around town and make sure that their needs are taken care of.
So this is something that we've done before in Nebraska to house unaccompanied minors crossing the border.
Correct.
And do we have the capacity to do it in Nebraska, or what kind of capacity do we have to house those children?
Yeah, so, first we have to draw the distinction between children coming from the border and relocating to Nebraska, which typically they're released to a family sponsor and don't make it into a state-sponsored facility. In 2018, over 500 unaccompanied minor children were released to the state of Nebraska, and a vast majority of them were released to family sponsors. So if they ended up in a state-sponsored facility in Nebraska, in all likelihood, they're going to be released at some point relatively soon to a family sponsor here in the state, and would it not be a drain of the state resources.
So if they're being relocated to Nebraska, is that correct to say that they have family ties to Nebraska generally if they come here?
Typically, yes. So the process at the border right now is they're processing these children in the facilities along the border. They're obviously overcrowded. There are facilities that are not designed or suitable for children. Is try to speed that process up, but the family sponsorship process does take some time, and so they're trying to create more humane conditions for these children during that processing time before they get released to a family sponsor here in the state or other states across the country.
Do the kids ever enter the foster care system? Does that ever come into play?
Very rarely. It can happen, but it happens very rarely.
And is it risky for the child's welfare to have kids across the state instead of in concentrated places, concentrated facilities, say at the border, to have them across the United States?
I'm assuming you're trying to get at Ricketts' piece of his statement about it being risky for them to be.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, let me see if I can find his actual statement because I had it up here. Yeah. Right now, the Biden-Harris administration is contacting states to take these children. Nebraska is declining their request because we are reserving our resources for our kids. I do not want our kids to be harmed as a result of President Biden's bad policy. So that's suggesting that it would take resources away from Nebraska children who might be in our receiving social services in Nebraska. So that kind of connects to what you were saying. It sounds as if is it fair to say that you don't agree with that, or that it wouldn't take away from social services for Nebraska residents?
That's correct. I disagree, and Immigrant Legal Center disagrees with the governor's position on this. The statistics show that a strong majority of children will ultimately be released to family sponsors. And so this concept that it'll be a drain on state resources is false. His comment about it being risky to spread them out the United States is also false. In reality, it's risky for them to remain in the facilities on the border because they're not suitable for children at this time. And the Biden administration's
here's his quote on the safety. When the Trump administration expanded the policy of separating children from their families, many, including myself, urged them to keep the children and families together. The Biden administration should focus on working with Central American governments to reunite the children with their families in their home countries instead of pursuing the risky strategy of scattering them across the United States. Why, from what you're seeing, why are the children leaving Central America in the first place? Is it feasible to reunite them with their families in Central America?
Yeah, I think the governor is just really punting on the issue at this point in time to say that the Biden administration should be focused on aiding these Central American countries with keeping the children there in the first place. They're already here. And to say that it's risky to spread them out through the United States, to me, is really a political ploy aimed at drumming up fear about immigrants in our country, which is really unfair to the children that are sitting in these facilities down along the border. Broadly speaking, the reason that a lot of these children are making their way to the southern border, it's a variety of issues. It's, the environmental conditions that are taking place in some of these countries, natural disasters, gang violence, and ultimately migration of human beings as a result of those three things. Parents are sending their kids to the border as a last resort. And I believe that Nebraskans really are good people and don't agree with the governor on this position.
Would you be willing, or would you be a part of, would the Immigrant Legal Center be a part of facilitating a program for migrant children if Nebraska changes its policy?
Yeah, so there's a lot of wonderful nonprofits in our state that all come together and collaborate with each other on providing the basic needs for these unaccompanied minors that make their way to our state. The Immigrant Legal Center, we step in and we will handle the asylum case that the children arriving in our state will have, and really aid them and be with them along the way there. There's other agencies in town that will help them with their other basic needs, like housing and food. But again, I mean, they're being released to family sponsors in our state. So a very, very small number of them may end up somewhere other than a family sponsor. But Nebraska is pretty good at coming together and taking care of the children that arrive in our state.
What can people in Nebraska and in Iowa do if they want to help migrant children?
I think first and foremost, you can call up your elected representative, your state senators, the governor's office directly. Let them know that, not supporting allowing these migrant children into our state does not represent the majority of Nebraskans' views on this issue. Also, look up your local nonprofits that serve these populations, the immigrant populations, and are key in advocating for the children at the border. And you can volunteer, you can make a donation, you can learn more. And gather as much information as you can to educate yourself on the issue and get the facts out there.
Is there anything else I didn't ask you that you would like to add to this conversation?
It's on us to welcome them to our communities, take care of them, and give them the services that they need to help them through this situation, this terrible situation that they're in the first place. And so I think it's important for your viewers to recognize that the governor doesn't get to decide whether or not these children end up in Nebraska. Typically, these children would be processed at the border and then released to a family sponsor in Nebraska. Currently, those facilities along the border are being overwhelmed with the number of people that have shown up down there, and the conditions are not great because they're not designed to house children for this length of time. The Biden administration is trying to find a humane alternative to that and has reached out to these state governors to ask them to use their state facilities to temporarily house the children. And that is what the governor has denied.